Hey there, Cherie here. Welcome back to the channel. I am excited to be here today to share with you all actually one of my favorite makes from the last several months. I have been sewing and just really enjoying peaceful time, figuring out what I want to make for my wardrobe, which fabrics I want to use, which patterns I want to use. And so I'm going to start sharing with you all the things that I've made really over the last 6 months. I think my last plans video went up in November, and I'm going to start rolling out those makes and sharing with you all what I got done and reviews of the patterns. So I'm going to start with this top. You've already seen it a couple months ago. I put up a video where I was wearing this top, and I did a video on easy woven top patterns that I wanted to make for fall. I will link to that in the iCards as well as in the description box. Especially if you are new to the channel, you may have missed that video. You may not have gone back and watched it. But I'm actually going to start with the tops, sharing the patterns and the reviews, okay? And so this was actually a new look pattern. It's new look 6732. It's rated as an easy pattern, and easy it was indeed. I would say, you know, if you are really a beginner sewer, doing the ruffle, you know, might challenge you a little bit. Getting a good V in the back might challenge you a little bit, but there's nothing difficult about it. If you just take your time and go slowly, you won't have any problems getting this done. I think you could certainly leave the ruffles off also if that is intimidating you. But let's get into this and see how this looks up close and personal, okay? All right, so let's have a little bit of a closer look at the pattern and the top. So again, we mentioned the pattern number, new look 6732. I think I caught this on a $1.99 new look pattern sale, but I think new look patterns are selling for what, $2.99, $3.99 max. So they really are quite affordable. Now, one thing about new look, if you need expanded sizing, new look is not the pattern for you. New look patterns go from a US size 6 to a US 18. And as we know, the pattern sizes, you know, a US 18 pattern size is usually a couple sizes smaller than a ready to wear size 18. I cut the size 18 and I just made it straight through, no modifications at all. And so if we look here, the bust range, this is the body measurements that you should use to select your pattern. The bust range for the size 6 is a 30.5 bust. And if you have a 40-inch bust, you will cut the size 18, and then in between, you know, you'll figure out what you need. The waist for the size 6 is a 23-inch waist, and for the size 18 is a 32-inch waist. For your hips is saying a 32.5-inch hip for a size 18, for a size 6, and then for size 18, 42-inch hip, and then the back to neck, and then for the back of the neck down to the waist measurement, so like the length of the back of the top is 15.5 inches for the size 6 and 17 inches for the size 18. But just looking here at the back, it says here the finished bust for the size 6 is 37 inches, and for the size 18 is 46.5 inches. And then the finished back length for the size 6 is 19 inches, and the finished back length from the base of the neck down to the final hemline is 20.5 inches for the size 18. So you can play around and modify this as you need to fit your body. but those are the lower and the upper measurements. Just want to let you know in case you're interested in looking for this pattern and you can see if you fit into that. Certainly you can grade it up, but I will say with the way things are pieced, you need to know some grading, especially if you want to grade up in the bust. I think if you wanted to grade out here, you know, where the waist and the hip is, you know, you can just transition out pretty easily to add on extra there. But because of the way this is put together at the bust and with the ruffle and the sleeve, that certainly would not be a beginner alteration. And as far as fabrics, it called for a cotton lawn, double Georgette, lightweight cotton types, lightweight linen types, and silky prints. And then your notions, you needed some 1-inch wide elastic for your sleeves. And then if you did view B, you needed some single fold bias tape. I think for the edging on the ruffle. I'm not sure what that's for. I did view A. Okay, so now let's have a look from a pattern standpoint. So let's look at the pattern pieces. It did have a good amount of pattern pieces for this top. But don't be intimidated. Like I said, it does sew together pretty easily. You have your front piece, piece number 1. Number 2 is your yoke front. That's what this is up here at the shoulder. Piece 3 is your bodice back, which has that V in it. You have your tie-ins, number 4, which are for the back. You have your front and back facing pieces, which are 5 and 6. You can see that V shape in the facing for the back piece. You have your armhole ruffle, which is piece number 7, and it's telling you to use that for views A and B. You have your sleeve, which is only used for view A, which is again what I made. That's piece number 8. Number 9 is the sleeve elastic guide. I fit my elastic around my wrist, and that's how I figure out how big to cut my elastic. And then 11 is your back ruffle. And then 12 is the upper ruffle piece here. Oh, I skipped number 10. Number 10 is the front ruffle. Number 11 is the back ruffle. Number 12 is the upper ruffle for the front. And number 13 is the upper ruffle for the back. And so you can see here, this is the double ruffle. So this is the upper ruffle pieces, piece for the front. And then this is the lower ruffle piece. And so you ruffle those and attach them together. And, you know, that's also something you can play with, right? View B only has the lower ruffle. You could certainly make view A with only the lower ruffle, right? So you can play around with that. And that was my one concern. I wasn't sure if that was going to like poke out a lot, because you can see here in her posing, it looks like her hands are holding that closer to her body, which is why I knew this was going to be pretty boxy. And since I was using a cotton fabric, it's a little bit less drapey than if I use like a silky fabric that would kind of drop, right, and drape closer to my body. I was a little bit worried that this would kind of like, you know, just poke out and stand out too much. And it does stand out, but it's also one of those things, the top is so cute that, you know, if it makes my midsection look, you know, bigger than it is, I mean, who cares, right? It's a cute top. So anyway, I moved forward with that. I do plan to remake this for spring, or for summer for me here in Minnesota. Spring, I still need sleeves. But summer, I definitely want to make this, and I will use a silky type fabric, and I will probably do it. I don't know if I'm going to do the single ruffle or the double ruffle, but I'm definitely going to do it with a silkier, drapier fabric, and I'm looking forward to that. I'll share that in my spring makes video. Okay, so let's have a look at mine. I showed you here. You go through and, you know, it just is a nicely assembled, easy pattern. You know, you hem your edges. Because I knew that the ruffle, right, you would see the wrong side. I wanted to use a fabric that was not printed. so that the wrong side and the right side, you know, look the same. You know, because with the ruffles, if it's floating, like if this was white, if this was printed and that was white, that always kind of bothers me personally. It's not a huge deal, but I don't love that look. And so that's why I chose to do my first one actually in a solid to test it out. I originally, I think, was going to do this also in a print, and I decided not to use that purple print for that reason. When I put this on, I saw that you do see the underside of the ruffle, and I didn't want that with my print. So I ended up using that print for another pattern, which you will see soon. I've already worn it in a video that I put up on the channel already. And let's have a look here at the back now. You know, it has the V in the back, it has the ties, and that just goes together really easily. The ruffle goes all around the back. I've worn this several times. I love this top. So I did try to iron it out for you guys. Actually, the first time when I went to make this video, I was like, oh my gosh, the shirt's dirty. I gotta wash it. So I did wash it. And again, I just machine wash, tumble dry low. I ironed it, and yeah, that's it. And so, yeah, you can see here, it has the elastic at the wrist, and you can adjust that. This is 1 inch elastic. And you can adjust the length of that also if you like. I think if I make this again for fall and winter, I would probably go ahead and make this fully long sleeved since it has the elastic instead of making it cropped. Because it's like sometimes it fit tight, and but I would always have the urge to like pull it down. And so I could also see it making it cropped, but maybe hemming it instead of putting the elastic in. Yeah. Maybe gathering the edge and then facing it and hemming it. So it has some of the pleating, but it's not so tight and not with the elastic. I could see that being cute, or adding like a ruffle to it or something. But anyway, yeah, and it just has a, you know, regular standard facing that you sew together and attach. You know, if you don't have a serger, then, you know, if you don't have a serger, you know, you'll have to figure out how you want to finish your seams. You could use some bias tape to capture that, but you only have that one raw edge at the bottom because you're attaching the ruffles together. And then you can see here, for me with the facing, I just serged the edge and then hemmed it. But you can, you know, figure out how you want to sew that. You can see here the inset ruffle. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And so, like I said, it looks like it's, you know, a lot of pieces, but it's not. And then here is that yoke, right? So you sew the front gathered here to the yoke, and then this other side to the yoke gets sewn to the back piece. So you have that nice flat shoulder drop, which I really like because I have sloped shoulders. And so this is like a flattering way to put together a shirt for my body type. All right, that's enough of that. I'm going to go and put this on so I can share some pictures. Okay, so here's the top. You can see here, this is where I was talking about where, you know, it falls in a spot for me, which is right at my tummy. And so, you know, adding this volume here isn't always the most flattering, but who cares? I love the top. Here is the back. And you can see here it's very loose and roomy, very boxy, even though it has the ruffling. But because it doesn't have, you know, any like buttons or zippers, you need that to kind of get it over your head. And yeah, I really like the V in the back. I think that's a really cute little feature. You know, you gotta wear the right undergarment with it so it doesn't show. But yeah, I think that is like a cute feature. Here where I talked about with that elastic, I could see myself making this and just adding like a little ruffle hem to the sleeve instead of doing the elastic, and then maybe doing this full length with the elastic. I think the people on the patterns are kind of around my height, which is 5'7.5". And so, yeah, just for your reference, if you're looking to see, you know, how things fall for my height, if you're shorter than 5'7", 5'8", obviously this is going to be a little bit longer on you. And I made it without any adjustments, but I do think when I make the summer version, I'll probably drop this down where I add the ruffle. I'll probably drop it down so it's like right at my belly button, and then start my ruffle from there, and maybe even make my ruffle a little bit longer. We shall see. Or maybe I'll just do it like this again. But I think it's cute. I really like the ruffles at the sleeve, at the shoulder rather. I like this yoke style top because it really does fall over my more rounded sloped shoulders well. If you have, you know, if you have boxier shoulders, I'm not sure how flattering this might be on you. I don't know. But I really like it. I think it's cute. I'll definitely make it again. And you'll see it here on the chin.
If you say you wanna go, I will follow you. Doesn't matter where we go, I will follow you, follow you. If you say you wanna go,
Okay, friends, so I hope you enjoyed the review of this pattern. As I said, I will be making it again because even though this is not a typical kind of shape I would go for, this boxy shape, this is just a really fun top, and I will definitely be making it again. I might do some alterations to it. I might not. I don't know. But I will certainly be sharing that with you all in a couple months as I start to share my spring and summer makes once we get through what I made fall and winter. But again, like I said, I'm sharing these now because I know this is that time where a lot of pattern sales will be going on. And so you can take notes, you can see what I made for fall and winter, and you can see if you want to pick up those patterns and start sewing them at some point in the summer, because we need to sew ahead so that we can actually wear it and enjoy it in the fall. Though this top again, perfect for spring, and certainly has that version for summer without the sleeve. So this really is a 4-season pattern. But anyway.